Hi, I'm Jack,
And I'm Matt.
and this is Lil Bits, the podcast where we talk about movies, TV shows, and other stuff we think is neat.
Today we're talking about the 2020 Oscars.
Sponsored by Canada Dry. Refreshing. I just saw a big spike right when I opened that, so I'm so sorry to everyone's ears.
We're going to have a headphone warning on this video.
Yeah. Oh my
Okay.
god. We'll have something come on the screen while you're watching. Like, take your headphones off in 3, 2, 1.
Alright, so the first Oscar we're talking about today is the one for visual effects. So it's achievement in visual effects. And all the nominees were Avengers Endgame, The Irishman, The Lion King, 1917, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, so for this one, I had the same choice and prediction because just looking through this list, I was like, okay, Star Wars, no one liked it, so no. Lion King, definitely not.
Yeah.
Endgame, it was good, but like,
Marvel's
it's
visual...
a popular movie,
Yeah.
so they're not going to give it to that. And then, so I narrowed it down to Irishman in 1917. I figured they'd give it to Irishman, and editing would go to 1917. And just because Irishman definitely, like, with the Al Pacino, like, CGI stuff to make him look younger, that looked pretty good.
Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff on that, and that looked amazing. But 1917 did do an amazing job with their visual effects. And
Did you see 1917?
Yes, I saw
Okay.
1917.
Okay.
Gosh, you're so mean to me.
I didn't know if you saw it.
The,
Yeah.
the scene where the plane is coming at the
That's a good one.
two stars, I mean, that is just...
Yeah, 1917 was good.
It really made you feel like you were there.
Yeah, so not mad about that one. Okay, the next one,
Film editing.
the next one we're covering is film editing.
Okay.
For that
sorry.
one, again, my choice and my prediction were the same. I thought 1917 was going to win just because of the whole one-shot,
The one-shot film,
style they were
yeah.
going for, where they do the whole thing in one shot, as you can tell by the name.
Okay, so all the nominees for this one were Ford vs. Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, and Parasite, which is really weird that 1917 is not even nominated.
Okay, wait. Are you looking at the wrong one?
Film editing?
Maybe I was looking at something else.
I don't know.
We're going to cut this whole part out.
Yes, we are.
Alright, so the next one we're going to cover is production design. Now, I thought Parasite had the best production design on this one. I thought, like, all the, like, modern housing in, like, the rich neighborhood and, like, the house the Parks were living in were just, like, really creepy and, like, cool looking for the tone of the movie. And, like, and the slums that the Kim family were living in, like, really...
Really had a big contrast.
Yeah, the contrast was really well
Yeah.
done.
So all the nominees for this one were The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which won it, and then Parasite.
Yeah, and so my prediction was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I think that does still deserve it. Like, they had a really diverse production design on that.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for what they were going for, the whole, like, end of the golden age Hollywood, it looked very good.
Yeah. Though, honestly, I think Parasite did do a better job.
I thought Parasite had some really unique
Yeah.
look
But
at the scenery.
that might just be because it was an international film. That the U.S. is just not used to seeing some of the stuff that they did. So...
I remember, like, specifically some of the, like, shots from, like, the mountain overlooking the the park house, more like the park's yard,
Mm-hmm.
looking out onto the mountain, versus like the Kim's like semi basement like slum house
Yeah.
full of water.
Yeah.
Like the contrast there is like really well done.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to cinematography. I really thought if they were gonna give, like, okay, The Lighthouse was only nominated for one Oscar, and I thought if it was gonna only get nominated for one, they would have to give it to The Lighthouse. It was so good.
Okay, but look what it's up against. It's up against The Irishman, Joker, 1917, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, have you seen The Lighthouse though?
No, I haven't. But all these movies were good.
Okay, yeah, they're really good, but you just need to see The Lighthouse.
What's it about?
It's kind of a psychological horror about
God.
two guys that like. It's not really that horror. I mean, it is, but it's really weird. It's two guys that live in a lighthouse. It's shot in black and white, and
That's interesting.
I don't want to like talk too much about it because like it's hard to describe. You kind of just have to see it, but it deserves to be nominated for more,
Yeah.
and definitely could have won cinematography. But I did think 1917 was good too.
Yeah, and for this particular award, achievement in cinematography, 1917 should have won. I mean, with the whole one-shot movie, it's never been done this way before. It makes you feel so much more immersed in what is happening in the movie.
Well, I mean, it has been done before. It has been done before. Like, Birdman did it, and then I know there was, like, an Alfred Hitchcock movie that did it, like, way back. But, like, barely any movies do it.
Yeah.
Okay, for costume design. My choice was Jojo Rabbit. I really liked a lot of, like, the uniforms, and like there was some really like wacky costume design, especially with like some of the generals. But I thought they'd give it to Little Women just cuz like it's a period piece, and like there was a lot of work done.
Did you watch Little Women?
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So
Little Women costume design was still good, so either way, I would have been happy. And Little Women did win. And moving on to sound editing.
Ford
This one,
versus Ferrari.
I didn't know a whole lot about, but I had heard like lots of people talking about how good the sound sound editing was
It's
in Ford
amazing.
versus Ferrari.
Ford versus Ferrari is a masterpiece when it comes to sound. I mean, when the cars are racing, you feel like you're right there. Like you could feel like you were sitting in that car with the surround sound in the theater. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was amazing.
Yeah, I am not much of a car person, and so I'm not really the one to talk about this. But I saw Ford vs. Ferrari 3 times in total. First time I thought it was like pretty good. I'm like, this is a solid movie. Second time I was like kind of falling asleep and getting pretty bored. And then the third time I was fed up with it. So
Why did you see it 3 times?
Well, I saw it once with Sophia. I saw it a second time with family, and then I saw it a third time. I saw all the Best Picture nominees during a marathon.
The marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dang.
And so, luckily, Ford vs. Ferrari was like one of the first movies we watched during the marathon, or else I would have fallen asleep.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I have strong feelings about Ford vs. Ferrari that it probably doesn't deserve. It was a pretty good movie.
It was a good movie. I don't know if I would watch it 3 times in as little time as you did, but...
Yeah. Hey.
We are recording right now.
Yeah.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, how long?
Is Dad here?
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Quite a bit.
Nice.
Mhm.
So, what should I tell him? Leave?
I kind of want dinner.
Well.
Could you guys, like, is there anything you guys need to do? I know, but is there anything else you need to do? Can you have Dad leave and then come back in like 30 minutes? We're getting dinner, and we have to do this first. Okay. Where were we?
We're on Joker now.
Okay, so for original score, my choice and prediction were Joker.
Yes.
I think we already talked about this in the first podcast, but I really enjoyed the score of Joker.
Yes.
I'm not going to go over it twice since, like I said, I talked about it all in the first podcast, but I thought it was really well done. It was really like foreboding and intense and like lonely, and it would just like captured the tone of that movie perfectly.
Yeah, it brought out emotions in the crowd. I honestly, the other nominations didn't stand a chance. Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. Like, why is this nominated for so many Oscars?
Well, I mean, it's John Williams for Star Wars, but then Marriage Story had a pretty good soundtrack.
Yeah.
Okay. For international film, obviously my choice and prediction was for Parasite, and thank God it won.
Yes.
Parasite is one of my favorite movies of all time now. I've seen it a few times in theaters, and every time I see it, I'm just as entertained by it, and I'm just as like impressed with it. So it definitely deserves Best International Film.
I want to talk more about Parasite, but we'll be doing that later in a future podcast, so we're gonna steer clear of it
at the end of this podcast. No spoilers. For supporting actor, I think everyone knew it was going to be Brad Pitt. That was my choice and prediction. He did really well in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I know, but I would almost not even consider him a supporting actor in that.
Well, what do you mean?
He's basically a main actor.
I mean, yeah.
He's there the entire time.
He has a very prominent role. I think technically he's a supporting actor, but yeah, it's hard to beat it when he has that many scenes like by himself. Yeah, like ones that just come to my mind, the Bruce Lee scene is obviously really funny in that movie, and then the ranch scene when he's just like making the guy change his tire.
Yeah.
I can't describe that scene too much, or else this will quickly become an R podcast. But
oh my God.
or even the last act of that movie.
Just anything in that movie.
Yeah.
The whole movie's brutal.
Yeah. Or at least the scenes with Brad Pitt in them.
Yeah.
Okay. For supporting actress, I was kind of... This one was really hard for me. I think for my choice, I chose Florence... How do you say her last name?
I don't know.
Okay. It's gonna be difficult.
Is it Pew?
That's what I was thinking. Florence Pugh,
That might be
as
it.
in P-E-W, Pugh.
Yeah. P-U-G-H.
Okay, that was my choice. I thought she did good in Little Women. She was like, she brought a lot of life to that movie. But then, I don't know. I was predicting Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit, but that was pretty hard. I wasn't really very confident in that prediction either. Laura Dern for Marriage Story ended up winning, and that was probably the second one. That was my second choice for the prediction. She was good in Marriage Story. I just didn't think it was that strong, but I didn't think Scarlett Johansson.
Because she wasn't that prominent, though.
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
She's not nearly as prominent as Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. So it's weird. It's a weird award because it's not about how much you remember them. It's about what they bring in the short amount of time that they actually have on screen.
Mm. And then for Best Actor, my choice was Adam Driver for Marriage Story. I was really hoping that he would win this one. I was pulling for him, but in the back of my mind, I knew they weren't going to give it to him. Like, it was Marriage Story. All in all, was such like I don't even know. Did you see it?
I have seen part of it, not the whole thing though.
Okay, Marriage Story, like that whole movie was like so like dry and realistic and like bare bones, and Adam Driver like did a really good job of like giving a really like accurate but then also like convincing performance.
It's hard to act in something like that because most of the time they can just become this other person. Like whenever he plays Kylo Ren, he becomes someone in a world that doesn't exist. But in Marriage Story, it is a very realistic situation, and he has to try to act like someone who in real life has gone through this situation, and it's brutal.
But then my prediction was Joaquin Phoenix
And Joker,
which was still very good.
yeah, I agree with that. That's a good choice.
I'm not gonna argue with that. For Best Actress, I definitely thought Scarlett Johansson was gonna get it, but I was wrong. It was.
Renee
I can't ever say her name.
Renee
I'm gonna
Zellweger.
It's Zellweger.
I think so.
Okay, in Judy, I never saw that movie.
I never saw the movie.
So
either.
I did not see that coming. I can't really talk about that because I never saw it. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just gonna say
I've never even heard of her before. Have you?
no, and I definitely thought Scarlett Johansson was gonna get it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I should be mad or not.
I don't know.
We'll just move on. For Best Director, I chose Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. I thought it was fantastically directed.
Yes.
But then I thought Quentin Tarantino was gonna win.
No. I mean, between those two, Quentin Tarantino did a good job with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but he had some amazing actors with him in that movie. And Bong Joon-ho has, I mean, actors from Korea, and they're good, but they're not as famous as the people that Tarantino can bring to this scene. And just the way Bong Joon-ho brings the story to life is incredible.
And the more I'm looking into it, like Bong Joon-ho as a director, I just recently found out that he also directed Snowpiercer. Have you seen that? Okay, it was on Netflix for a while. I definitely recommend it. It's not in Korean. It's an American movie. It's like set in the future if like the UN tried to reverse climate change, but they accidentally like set an ice age, and so like this guy like made a giant train that goes around the globe that people live on.
Did he write this too? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
He's a
really
creative
interesting.
Genius.
It's very good. And then I was looking at his IMDb and I saw that he directed that too, and I was like, dang, okay. So yeah. I feel like I need to cut some of this out because I'm kind of just on like a tangent. Okay, and then Best Picture. I definitely gave it to Parasite because, like, I've already talked about how much I love Parasite. But I thought they were going to give it to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just because it's a period piece. It's very well liked in general, and
Tarantino directs it, and Brad Pitt's in it.
it seemed like it was a pretty like good candidate for the Academy, but they actually ended up giving it to Parasite, which I was very happy
impressive.
about. First ever foreign film to win.
Yeah, it is impressive. When Americans actually like a movie that's not in English, it's a really good movie.
I think that was definitely the right choice.
Some of the other nominations are Ford versus Ferrari,
I can name them all.
Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And they're all amazing movies.
Like, when I saw them all back to back, like, I thought they were all good, but, like, Parasite definitely stood out among the rest as, like, easily the best one. And so it was an easy choice for me, and I'm happy to say the Academy chose, or the Academy agreed.
Yeah. I usually don't like movies that are in another language. I don't know why. I just don't like it. I don't like reading subtitles. But Parasite was a really, really good movie.
Yeah. Definitely, whoever's listening to this, I don't know why you would listen to
This is pretty tragic.
I'm so sorry. But if you are, you should definitely watch Parasite because it's my movie of the year easily and one of the best movies I've ever seen.
If you're listening to this, you should watch Parasite, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 1917, Marriage Story, Joker, and Ford vs. Ferrari. Those are all the ones I've seen, all the ones that I've loved. So,
those are all pretty good.
All definitely worth your time.
Have you seen Jojo Rabbit?
I have not.
Yeah, that's another. Jojo Rabbit definitely deserves a watch too. Yeah. I feel like I didn't get to talk about some of these enough just because, like, some of them didn't win as much as I thought they would. But, I mean...
We can go through some of the nominations.
Yeah, let's just go through the Best Picture nominations.
Okay. So, Best Picture, Ford vs. Ferrari we talked about, The Irishman we talked about, Jojo Rabbit.
Jojo Rabbit. Jojo Rabbit was set in Nazi Germany. It was about a young boy, like elementary school age, growing up in Nazi Germany and just like the fanaticism that the Nazis put into kids at that time. And it's a comedy kind of, and just that like how crazy the boy is and like how much he loves Nazis, and watching it you're like, whoa, this is funny. He likes the bad guys, but I mean it's probably a little more realistic than we give it credit for, and it ends up being, it walks a very fine line of being like serious and like crazy. Like they have like kids falling on grenades while at the same time like actual serious like deaths happening like in the same scenes, and somehow they're able to do that without it seeming like very tone deaf.
Yeah.
And I applaud it for that.
I haven't seen it, so I can't say whether or not it's good or bad. I'm just impressed that this movie is as offensive as it seems from what I've heard about it, what short little clips I've watched, and the fact that it made it this far in today's social climate is impressive in itself.
Mm-hmm. And I think partly the reason it did was because it did such a good job walking that line. And then Little Women, I don't think I really got to talk about. I don't really have a lot to say on that one. It's based on the book Little Women. I don't know. It wasn't one of my favorites. I thought it was kind of bland, but I mean it was enjoyable. Marriage Story is, I saw it and I don't have totally developed feeling. I still need to I think I need to watch that one more time before I can talk about it totally.
It's definitely a part of the new wave of movies of just like total realism, and makes you realize how much movies like to make the world seem better than it actually is. And it's I don't know,
I'd agree with that.
It's touching in a weird way.
Mm-hmm. And I'd be very happy to talk about that in a later podcast if I watch it again, because I think there is definitely a lot to talk about with that. I'm just not really sure what I want to say about it yet.
Yeah.
then in 1917, I don't normally like war period pieces, but this is probably one of the best I've seen. It was really entertaining. The one shot was good. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about that.
It's crazy how attached you get to the characters and like how quickly you do it.
Yeah, it starts very quickly.
Very quickly.
There's like no introduction, and yet somehow they still get you to like be attached to these characters that you barely know the names of.
I don't remember the names of them. I don't know if I ever knew the names of them, but
yeah, I think that's pretty impressive. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm kind of split on this one. I think overall it's a good movie. I think it relies on the third act a little too much. Like, I feel like if you watched only that third act on YouTube or something, you'd probably get just as much enjoyment out of it as if you watched the whole movie, which isn't it isn't a criticism of any individual part of the movie, but more of how it was put together. Like, it doesn't seem like the first or second act really have an effect on the third one. It's just kind of disjointed.
Yeah, it's just like little things that you recognize, like from the first two parts versus the third, but you don't need to see them to understand what's going on in the third, which is kind of weird for a movie like that.
But it was still good.
Yeah.
And then I've talked about Parasite enough.
Yeah.
Alright, I think that's all for this one.
Yeah.
Alright, thanks for tuning in.
This has been Little Bits, and we'll see you next time.
Signing off.